Booyah!
So a fairly common question about competitive gaming in general and just gaming as a whole is how much RNG or luck-based mechanics can be in a game before it's considered uncompetitive or even unfair. Now, this seems like a very important topic to go over, mainly because there are a lot of RNG-based games at the moment. And a lot of them are considered competitive and actually esports. For example, card games are huge. Magic the Gathering Pro Tours, you get hundreds of thousands for winning those, and they are luck-based in the end of the day because of the cards you draw, and skill just cannot accommodate for a bad draw at the end of the day. And there's also Hearthstone, which, to be fair, I've always believed Hearthstone's more RNG-based than Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! Mainly because, apart from top decks, there's also RNG-based mechanics such as Cthulhu, Arcane Missiles, Yogg-Saron, Ragnaros, Sylvanas, Dr. Boom, etc, etc, etc. Now the thing is, some of those cards aren't used fairly often in competitive, but cards like Sylvanas and Ragnaros are literally used in like half of the decks I see. To be honest, Ragnaros is used in almost every control-based deck. Control Priest runs it, Control Warrior runs it, and in some cases Control Paladin runs it. Mage almost always runs Yogg-Saron, even though it is a completely luck-based card. Everything good about it is luck. There are games apart from card games, of course, that are luck-based. For example, there's shooters like CSGO, some of the headshots in that. So the way the hitbox works at times, it almost seems like luck at times the way it works. Of course, in TF2 there's random crits in casual mode, meaning that even if you're better than your opponent, you can still die to one shot. And apart from that, there's strategy games like XCOM where literally there is a percentage chance, no matter how close you are, where you won't hit your opponent and your entire team will die because of it. There's also MOBAs which there's certain items such as I play Smite a lot, Odysseus' bow, where it's literally there's a percentage chance it has a better effect, but there is that chance where you just won't have the effect. There's also crit chance in MOBAs, and although there are certainly items to increase that crit chance, Pokemon is another huge example. Pokemon is a huge competitive scene at the moment, and despite that, critical hits are a huge thing in that game, where if you get critical hitted, you could die in one shot, despite the fact that you could have the upper hand in the entire team. I've seen some really stupid comebacks, mainly because crits fucked over the person who was winning. It happens all the time. Getting onto the actual question I was talking about, which was, how okay is luck-based mechanics in video games? My answer is, it generally depends on the game we're talking about. Now, there's certain games where RNG should never be a factor, like for example, competitive strategy games. StarCraft 2, if it had any luck-based mechanics, which for my mind I don't think it does, it's mostly based on your APM, i.e. your actions per minute, and your tactical ability. Outside of that, there isn't much to work with. So in saying that, it's very much a skill-based game, which makes it very, very competitive. Shooters, as well as that, should never have luck-based tactics, which is why they took out crits in competitive TF2, because it would completely take away the skill-based mechanic of TF. But there are certain genres of games where that has to exist. For example, in Pokemon, in that kind of game, critical hits are incremental. And in RPGs, critical hits or kill shots have always existed, so you can't just remove that to make it more competitive. Granted, I think it would make it more competitive, but at the end of the day, I think it is a skill nullifier in order to take out any sort of tactics out of the game, and to make it so that there is a lot of chance for fail, despite the fact that you could be better than your opponent. Card games are always going to be luck-based. The entire concept of card games is luck-based. You literally cannot take the luck out of card games, because even if you took out every single RNG-based tactic out of Hearthstone, it would still be luck-based, because top decking is always going to be luck. And in saying that, just because they have RNG-based tactics does not mean that they don't deserve to be actual competitive games. To be honest, all a game really needs to be competitive in terms of an esport is a good audience and a community who wants to push it and make events for it. And since both of those games have that in droves, they don't really need the lack of RNG. In fact, it makes it more of an observer sport rather than an actual competitor sport. People like watching when someone makes a huge comeback because of luck. It's really entertaining to watch. So I do think RNG-based games have a place in esports, mainly because there is a lot of fun to be had watching RNG-based abilities in a game. I wouldn't want to be a competitor in that game. It is a very entertaining observer sport watching an RNG based comeback. So in saying that, I believe certain games should not have an RNG based mechanic at all. Like first person shooters, strategy games, a lot of team or skill based esports, because it just kind of takes away the skill aspect and makes it so that a worse team can win in a clutch moment. But games such as Hearthstone and card games in general are more observer sports and kind of deserve to have RNG in their games, mainly because they're not really designed to be completely skill based. If they were completely skill-based, the same people win the same tournaments all the time. That's just not the case. Anyway, tell me what you think about RNG-based mechanics in the comments. Personally, I think they do deserve some place in esports, but they don't deserve to be in every single game. It really depends on the type of game we're talking about. Anyway, I'll see you again next time, and have a nice day.